Hi and welcome to the Homeopathy Health Show. I'm Atiq Ahmed Bhatti, a fourth generation homeopath with over 25 years of professional experience and practice in this field of healing. The Homeopathy Health Show is the online voice of homeopathy around the world, promoting and raising awareness of this truly unique system of healing, which is suitable for all ages, young and old. Every week I invite guests from the world of homeopathy to come and share their experiences, their work, offer insights, and essentially talk all things homeopathy. Why not visit www.liketreatslike.co.uk and click on the radio and podcast button to listen to the latest episodes. So let's begin today's show here on UK Health Radio, the world's #1 talk health radio. Hi and welcome to another episode of the Homeopathy Health Show here on UK Health Radio. And as always, I'm your host, Atiq Ahmed Bhatti, a fourth generation homeopath and of course host and producer of this splendid show. Now my guest today is Rhea Batra. She's a professional homeopath from Canada who spends most of her time in the UK. And the reason for this actually is she has joined For Homeopathy, an organisation which was co-founded by Manny Norland, who is the principal of the School of Homeopathy in the UK and the School of Health. The objectives of For Homeopathy are to promote homeopathy not only in the UK but around the world, and comprises of 11 organisations including the Society of Homeopaths, the Faculty of Homeopathy and the Alliance of Registered Homeopaths, and of course the Homeopathy Research Institute, which I must say is doing some remarkable work as far as the promotion of homeopathy is concerned, the research of homeopathy, and all the cases and evidence. It's an amazing organization. Now, Rhea has actually joined For Homeopathy and is in charge of the social media element of it, and she's going to share that with us today, and also what it was like growing up and hearing the stories of how her grandmother used to use homeopathy. Rhea Batra, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the Homeopathy Health Show here on UK Health Radio. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you, Atiq. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Brilliant. I have so many things to ask you, actually. So where do I start? Hey, I have a big list of questions in front of me, and but I tell you, the most important part of this whole conversation will be the early days. Now, I know that you were exposed to homeopathy at a very young age, as was I, and as were many homeopaths, you know, by chance or whatever circumstances they found themselves in. Mm-hmm. So you do mention, and you mentioned to me that when you used to visit India, your grandparents would prescribe homeopathic remedies, or certainly you saw them using homeopathy. Yes. So what do you remember from that time, and what was that experience, and was it just, how did you feel about that?
I think when I look back at the time when I actually used to take it, I was really young. So it was just be like, you go to India, you know, you overeat, you get a little sick, and then they would just be like, here, take these. And I'm like, what is it? And they're like, no, just take it. So I think initially it was very much so where I was just like, okay, I'm just taking something. And I think as the years went on and I didn't go back I used to go every year. So when that kind of died down a little bit, I think that's when I started questioning it. And I'm like, what is this I'm even taking? Because you don't get exposed to homeopathy much in Canada as you do in India. So I think that's when I started questioning it. And I'm like, what am I taking? And I started reading up on it a little bit.
It's interesting, though, isn't it, that I was actually, it's interesting about homeopathy and the subcontinent, but also other places far afield as well. I was speaking to Jock G'day from Tirtha Usada in Bali, and mm-hmm. he does something called transformational healing, and he's a homeopath originally from Australia. So he's an Aussie, but living in Bali. Mm-hmm. And he was talking to me about the fact that over 95% of Indonesians mm-hmm. Know about homeopathy, and they know about homeopathy, but they also know about natural healing. And
That's
it was
really nice.
interesting. It was interesting, and it's very much the case with subcontinent as well, isn't it? Where places like India, where there are some incredible homeopaths. It's a normal way of life. Homeopathy is normal. It's not, oh, shall we look at something else? It's like we either go to the doctor, we go to the hospital, or it's homeopathy is an everyday thing. It's like, oh, just go down the road and there's a homeopathic store and buy this and buy that, and you'll be fine. It's amazing, isn't it, to see that actually when we visit.
Oh yeah, it was really eye-opening, especially going in recent times now that I am a homeopath, just seeing the difference where in Canada, it's like I tell people I'm a homeopath and they're like, oh, what's that? But in India, like every single person has a homeopathic remedy kit in their house. And it's so interesting to see the difference.
And also, I think what's really nice, isn't it, about this is the fact that within reason, of course, everyday common ailments are so easily treatable. Homeopathy is known around the world for treating the common cold and bumps and injuries and so forth. And of course, we know very well that stage of treatment is just a very basic foundational stage, and it leads up to treatment for autoimmune disorders and God forbid, cases of cancer and everything in between. But it's just great, isn't it, to see that there's a system of healing there that prevents you sort of spending so much time and the fear factor that goes with it, as far as oh my God, I've got a cold and a flu, and what am I going to do? And it's like, just reach up into the cupboard and whatever remedy it is, Allium, Sipa, Napmi, or what Gelsemium, whatever it is, it's just life becomes so easy. Healthcare becomes so, dare I say it, simplified, but effective.
Definitely. Like even now, like for example, with the weather change, I always get sick. And before it used to be like, oh no, I can feel myself getting sick, I'll take medicine, but medicine will only kind of help your symptoms. So I'd have to wait till I actually had symptoms. Now it's like, I know it's coming, I take my homeopathics, and I'm like, I just avoided it. Like, it's great because it's like you said, healthcare just becomes super simplified in that sense. It's there, it's easy, and there's no side effects. So it's great.
It really is the best of everything, isn't it? I of course I'm going to love it, of course I know, but I have to say it again. I absolutely love homeopathy for what it is and what it actually provides.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing. I feel like it's something that's so accessible all over the world. Even if people don't know about it, it is accessible. You will get these remedies everywhere.
Amazing. So now going back to Canada, where you're originally from, having moved to the UK, was it recently, a few years ago, maybe?
It was a year and a half ago at this.
Year and a half ago. Okay. So just after the pandemic.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So you actually originally went to the University of Toronto, and you wanted to do, or you were completing your BSc in human biology.
Yes, I was.
And that's actually when you crossed paths, or with homeopathy, or homeopathy crossed paths with you. I would say homeopathy crossed paths with you, based on the insights of so many homeopaths I've spoken to. It's always, it's never the individual. It's actually homeopathy comes your way in a certain
definitely.
situation. Right?
I would say that it came to me 100%. I don't think I looked for it. I don't think it was something that even crossed my mind, and it was just in front of me, and it just felt right.
So do share what that experience was. What made you sort of use homeopathy?
Well, so this was a point where, again, I started questioning homeopathy a lot, and I was like, oh, I'm not sure. Like, yes, I took it as a child, and then I just hadn't taken it for so many years. So something I personally did forget about. I went to university. I was studying human biology. I was looking to go into medicine, and in that time, I was also doing some co-op opportunities in hospitals, and it just didn't feel right. Like, medicine's very hard, and it was not even that. It was just learning everything, and I was like, it's great, and I see the science behind everything. I'm just not enjoying it. And then when I would be working in hospitals, I would see from the patient point of view, because I was volunteering more towards patient care and just supporting them, and just seeing that side of the experience where, from what I personally saw, I felt like they weren't actually being heard. So just being in that environment, I was like, this might not be the path that I want to take. I love learning about the human body. I love learning how everything works. I love taking care of people aspect. I love speaking to people and kind of getting their stories, but maybe medicine's not the only way to do it. There has to be another way. So I was in a space where I was questioning what to do when I went to this career fair and there was a table for homeopathy. And I was like, this is interesting. And I was talking to the people there and they were like, just give it a try. Drop by the college and give it a try. They let me sit in and actually in one of the cases that they were doing, and that changed everything. And after that, I never looked back.
That's a really interesting introduction, isn't it, to homeopathy itself? Did you then actually start moving forward with homeopathy, or did you go on to do other things?
So I finished my BSc, and then that was my final year when I got introduced to that. So to go into homeopathy, you actually do need the undergraduate degree. So this is a graduate diploma program. So I was just like, perfect. I applied for it right away, and then I started it in the fall.
What's your experience been since? I know that you actually did use it for an illness that you had yourself. And so what was that experience like? Do share what you felt at that time, and what you went through, and the healing that occurred as a result.
Yes. So this was all, again, my final year where I was very lost in what I wanted to do. And I am someone who stresses quite easily. So in the process, I did develop an eating disorder. I was diagnosed with anorexia nervosa. So at this time, the protocol in Canadian healthcare really is that you get signed up for a program, you go to therapy, you go, if it's serious, you get put on a diet plan. Luckily for me, I was just in occasional drop-in for therapy. But I guess I was in a place in my life where I'm like, I know what I'm doing. I knew what I was doing to get myself in this position. So even when I'd go to the therapist, she's like, there's not like there is a problem. Like, this is a choice you're making. And I was like, exactly. If it's a choice, then nothing here can really help me. I can do it myself. But I think even when I would try to stop, how you would say it would eventually come back. So then when I sat in one of my cases, I was in the case for the homeopathy when I went and they let me sit on the case. I was really impressed. And a friend of mine was actually in a place in her life where she was really negative. So I was like, hey, like, I sat in on this case and like they did a great job. I think you should go for yourself if you ever feel like. So she went and she came back and she was like, I just feel so much lighter. She's like, I don't care if it helps me or not. Just talking to them made me feel so much lighter. So I think from her experience, I was like, I'm going to give it a shot as well. So this was all before I actually enrolled myself, but I was like, I'll give it a shot myself. I went. The initial case took 4 hours. It was just 4 hours of talking. And I didn't even realize it. I left and it was nighttime. And I was like, this is great. But yeah, no, I left the same way. I felt super light. They gave me a remedy. They didn't tell me which one at the time. They gave me a remedy. And she told me like a week later, she's like, I just want you to give it a try. I know you're going to go and research it, and I don't want you to be biased about it. So I took it. And honestly, for the longest time, I'm like, yeah, maybe this isn't doing anything. It's fine. We'll see. But since then, I've never had a relapse. There's times where I'm like, oh, I wish I could lose weight. And I'm like, oh, maybe that way, but it doesn't happen. I'm just like, no, you know what? I'll just go exercise instead. And I don't think it's a choice. It's just, I've tried it. Mentally, I just can't go that route anymore. And I don't like, I know for some people, they're like, well, there's no connection. And I'm like, it's the only thing that I saw that actually worked.
It's, I always find that talking, and we're literally, that's what we're doing here, aren't we? You know, and talking is such a powerful therapy. And I just, it surprises me sometimes that when that is mentioned, it's almost like, you know, it's looked down upon, or should I say, it's just not taken seriously. It's like, why do you want me to talk about myself, or when people say, you're going to go and see a shrink or something,
Yeah.
or you need counseling. But talking is a very powerful thing, right? Human beings have been created to be social. You can't live on your
Yeah.
own, right? You need to talk, you need to communicate. And when it comes to therapy, when it comes to healing therapy, let's say, it's so, so important, isn't it? Because I've seen so many people, and Rhea, of course, it's going to be the same for you. I'm sure that just by talking, just by giving them those 20, 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever, however long it takes, right? Listening to them, they feel so much better. And sometimes it's just a buildup of emotions, but people don't know where to go. And fortunately, as part of the homeopathy consultation process, or the homeopathic consultation process, if you don't talk to a patient, you can't actually prescribe anything anyway. You have to engage, you have to find out what it is. And this is purely for the benefit of giving them the right remedy, right? And helping them.
Exactly.
But the healing is a bonus, because by talking, they're actually healing, because they're getting, it's so true, isn't it? When they say, get it off your chest, or someone has a rant and they said, I feel better because it's off my chest. This is not just a cliche thing, right? It's true. It works. You feel lighter. I've done it so many times.
No, I'm so glad. Yeah, you brought that up. Like, I personally feel like disease or illness just grows the more you hide it inside. And I feel like if you're holding in all this emotion, you're holding in all these thoughts, it's only going to get worse. You need that outlet. And that's what I think homeopathy, I love doing patient care, and I love taking consultations, because you can physically see it in the person in front of you when they start talking. It's like their body just gets lighter, and just seeing it, it was a great experience.
Amazing. I love it. I love the stories of healing that the homeopaths that come on the podcast share with me. I honestly love them so much, because it's fascinating and every story is different. Yes. Amazing, So now that takes me on to your continued journey as far as homeopathy is concerned. So what was it like studying homeopathy and doing this graduate diploma program in Canada? What's the take? I know a lot of homeopaths in Canada, and I know a lot of families. I have family in Canada, in Toronto actually, and Saskatoon.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, well, very cold apparently, isn't it?
Yeah, Saskatoon, yes.
Because I get pictures and it's always freezing, and I'm thinking, and I'm always invited to go there, and I'm thinking, I'm not going to do that. I'm not.
Summer's a great time. I would go in summers.
Yeah, I know, but you know how it is when summer comes here in the UK or in Canada. I'm always busy elsewhere, so it's one of those things. But
so maybe fall. Fall's also great.
Yeah, it's definitely something on the books, but let's see. Okay, but so I know that homeopathy is taken quite seriously as far as the Canadian government is concerned, and that's a really, really positive step. And it actually, to be perfectly honest with you, Rhea, it's also testament to the openness of the government itself, and the willingness and the cohesiveness, and we know that there's so many ethnic groups and cultures and different people from all over the world, and Canada is a really beautiful place for that, isn't it? It's like it's like London, isn't it? It's like a hub where it's open to all.
I love the diversity and the acceptance, like you're saying. Like, homeopathy is regulated, the government's giving it that space to exist and to be a form of healthcare people can choose, and you can even get insurance plans that cover the cost of it. Like, I think the government is very supportive of having it exist due to the diversity of the population.
It's nice to have people in government who are, and I don't mean any disrespect to anyone by this, I'm just talking about the Canadian government, who are mature in their thinking and understanding and open and willing purely for the benefit of people.
Yeah,
people want homeopathy, and the government is thinking, okay, yes, this great, include it, it's part of the insurance plan as well, and let people use it and let them get better, and that takes a lot, doesn't it? It's nice to be in that situation, right?
Yes, I definitely think, like, I definitely am very happy that I am from a country like that gives people the choice towards their health. There's so many different forms of natural healing or medicine that can help, and people are always quick to make judgments on it, but if it's helping someone, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Absolutely. So what was it like studying homeopathy at when you did this? It was at the Ontario College, wasn't it?
Yes, the Ontario College of Homeopathic Medicine.
How was it? Was it a busy course?
It was quite busy. It was extremely difficult and extensive program, and there's so many remedies out there, and you have to learn about them. You have exams, you have patient cases that you had to take. It was a very extensive 3 years. It was quite difficult. There were times where I was like, maybe I should just back out. Like, this is getting hard. But I think the end goal was always a motivation factor. Like, the patient hours would just make up for all the hours of studying you had to do. It was good to see that, because in my age group, completely honestly, you don't get exposed to people who know about homeopathy. I don't think there was anyone in my friend group or people I used to speak to that knew what homeopathy was. So when I was doing my course, it was nice to see people who not only accepted it, but chose homeopathy as a form of healthcare. So I think that did give me hope, and that also gave me my passion to kind of spread awareness about it. Because I was like, okay, there is a small group here that still is looking for homeopathy and towards homeopathy, appreciates it. But there's just so many people out there who don't know what it is. And I think I got exposed to that during that time, which has kind of led me to where I'm at now, where I work to kind of spread awareness on it.
Amazing. It is interesting to know, though, that now people are very open to other forms of medicine, be it from an alternative perspective or complementary or even integrative, with conventional medicine, allopathic medicine. And that's a really good thing. I think it's important for people to be able to make the right decisions. And sometimes homeopathy is used alongside medicine for whatever medicine you're taking for whatever disease or ailment. Also, sometimes it does become truly complementary, and sometimes people say, and it's a personal choice, of course, people say, no, I don't want to do that now, let me try something else. And that's a good thing, right? It's good to be able to have a choice.
That's the main thing that I believe in, is like that you have to have a choice, and there's no problem with integrating everything. You work with what is working for you. For example, like I had a cyst in my hand. I went to get it removed. I took painkillers. I took allopathic medicine. And then I came home and I put calendula on it. So I think integrating is the best form of healthcare, because there's a reason behind every form. There's science behind every form. Every form of medicine, complementary medicine, there is some form of healing behind it. So if you can integrate all of them together and do what's best for your body, I think that having that choice is really important. The thing, like even my mom, like she had kidney stones, and then rather than going to the doctor, because she went to a homeopath who gave her some remedies, and she was completely fine. And it's exactly what you're saying, like it's saving resources for those ailments that need medical assistance. Otherwise, you're just taking up resources where you could be getting help somewhere else.
Absolutely. And I love that. I really, honestly, from my heart, I think it's such a brilliant position to be in, because you're actually you're ending up helping people, so that the fear of getting ill, or the fear of a common cold for some people is very depressing, even as simple as it sounds, but it is. And you can get a horrible cold, right? Colds are horrible sometimes. Or some aches and pains, or a trapped nerve, or things which that homeopathy can go in there and like a magic bullet, it's gone.
Oh, exactly. Like before, I used to sprain my ankle. I used to go to the emergency. Now I'm like, Arnica, where are you? And I'm good.
I like that. What I'd be upset about is if you said it answers back, because then we're on a whole new level.
Yeah, then it's a whole other problem we have.
I'll tell you something interesting. As you were talking about remedies, and you said there were quite a few remedies. What I do is I get my daughter to test me. Okay. And I say, whatever remedy, name a disease, or go through a condition, or whatever, and then I sort of give her the selected remedies that would be applicable, and then she asks me back, but what else is this remedy useful for? Blah blah blah. That actually helps me to remember the remedies, because as we know, there's over 6,000 different
Oh yeah.
homeopathic medicines or remedies now, aren't there? So it's
No,
a
that's actually
lot
a
to
really great
remember.
way. It's definitely a lot. There's so many times where I'm like, okay, I remember the first letter of this. I just need to remember the rest of it. I remember using this before.
It's brilliant, isn't it? So after you graduated, what happened then? Did you set up clinic in Canada or?
Yes, so I've set up my clinic. It's RB Homeopathy. So because as soon as I was graduating, COVID hit, it was mainly online consultations.
Hmm.
Now I offer both in-person and online consultations because I am frequently flying between Canada and the UK. So
Okay.
I am home a lot as well. But yeah, I set up my practice and then I use social media to kind of spread awareness about homeopathy more than my practice itself, I believe. So yeah, I
That's like
had,
me. I do that.
yeah, exactly.
Everybody
Yours
follow
is
me on
all
my
of that.
Instagram, _treats like, and you'll know what I'm doing. It's lovely to promote it.
That's the thing. And I was like, I feel like by promoting it, you in a way are automatically promoting yourself as well, because people won't come to homeopaths unless they know what homeopathy is. So, and especially like because my focus in terms of audience is the younger generation, that's kind of have to appeal to them in ways that they'd understand. So I would just be like, have a cold, look at these remedies. Like it's just more so targeting about spreading awareness on homeopathy in general.
I think it's really, really important to target the youngsters, and as you very well know, I produce a lot of video trailers for
Yes.
TikTok and Instagram, because those two platforms I find are very savvy platforms, right? They're very hip. They're current. They're now, and
Exactly.
the engagement is great because I think it's as long as people don't spend too much time on them, but I think it really gets the message across in a bite-sized form, which people can digest and think about, and slowly and surely it's also providing an insight into homeopathy, and that's a good thing, right?
Oh, 100%. I especially TikTok in current times, like the way it exposes people to different lifestyles, different options, and everything that's available. So I've seen your TikToks, and that was something that's been on my mind as well, where you take the content you're making, where you have like simple posts, but people aren't looking at posts. You need more engagement. So TikTok is a great option to get people engaged, to have people ask you questions. It's definitely a great way to target the newer generation.
You know, during this conversation, you mentioned about coming here and you're a frequent flyer because you have to go back to Canada. So the
Yeah.
thought popped into my mind, and I have to ask you, but you don't have to answer it. But what do you prefer, Canada or the UK?
So I say this all the time. I love living in London. I definitely think London's a great place to be when you're young. And then when you're old, I think Canada's the better place to settle
Oh,
down.
okay. That's
Yeah.
something for me to think about then, isn't it now? Hey?
Yeah, yeah, just don't be scared of the winters. The rest of it's great.
Yeah. Yeah. How many months of summer are there?
So it gets pretty warm, I think around April till September it's warm, and then
That's
September you get fall. So it's a proper good hot summer.
good.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely something to keep in mind, hey?
Yes.
Now, raising awareness about homeopathy. Now,
Yeah.
this is a very important subject matter itself, and it's something I'm very passionate about, as you know, and I know it's something that really, really drives you, and you have great motivation and zeal for this. So, one of these areas of promoting homeopathy has led you to joining For Homeopathy, which is
Yes.
a collaboration of 11 organizations in the UK. And this has been Manny Norland from the School of Homeopathy is the chairman, isn't he, and the founder?
Yes, he is.
And
Yes.
do tell us more about what your role is within For Homeopathy.
So my role with For Homeopathy is actually just their social media coordinator. So I'm in charge of their their Instagram story, their Facebook, and their Twitter. So how this came to be was I was actually back in Canada, and Elizabeth from the Faculty of Homeopathy was someone I was in contact with, just kind of talking about the prospects of homeopathy in the UK. And she recommended me to Manny, and she was like, "Hey, this Canadian homeopath," and she kind of sent over my social media pages for my practice. So she sent over my RB Homeopathy Instagram and Facebook, and that got me and Manny, and it was Crystal at the time as well, who was in charge of social media. So we all kind of got on a conversation and we realized we share that passion for spreading awareness and kind of just showing people that they have a choice in their healthcare. And not just in terms of homeopathy, we share posts on other forms of complementary medicine. And it was all just about showing the importance of choice and spreading awareness on these options. So that kind of, because we all shared that passion, that value system, it kind of came into play where I started working on their social media. And they've just been great. Like there's conferences that happen here before, like there was the one that happened recently, and there's one next week for the integrative complementary medicine. And it's just, they've got me involved in those, making sure everything's updated social media wise, but also just to support the community in a better way.
Brilliant. That's so good. And actually, I must say that I must give a very big thank you to Manny Norland, who has been on the podcast as well. I think he's doing great work, and it's really making a difference. So hats off to him, and all respect to Manny Norland from the School of Homeopathy. I think it's brilliant, and he's an absolute gem to know anyway.
Yes, he definitely is. And his passion is just so infectious. Like it could be, you'll be like tired from working and he'll be like, I just loved about this. And he's like, I think it'd be great for people to see this. And you get enthusiastic just working with him.
It's great, isn't it?
It's amazing.
It really is. I've been thinking what constitutional remedy he is, but I'm stuck. But you know, that's homeopaths for you, isn't it? Hey,
it is.
You start observing, don't you? But
I do that all the time. I'll be hanging out with people, I'm just watching them, and I'm like, oh, I know exactly what remedy this is coming from.
So, as far as for homeopathy is concerned, you're also actually involved, aren't you, with the Faculty of Homeopathy? And this is actually quite interesting because you said to me that you were creating a community where people from around the world can come and talk about homeopathy and ask questions. So it's almost like a hub, isn't it? A platform, which is in the form of a hub where people can actually come in and pose questions. How does that work?
So how I got involved with them was, again, I kind of reached out to Elizabeth, and I was like, I'm kind of interested in seeing what homeopathy means in the UK. And she was very supportive. She reached out to me and gave me all the information I needed, but she also invited me to kind of get involved in the faculty. So I started on a volunteer basis, and now I'm their membership coordinator. And so my passions with homeopathy are kind of divided. One part is, yes, I want to spread awareness on it. I want people to be aware of the options they have for their healthcare. But I also felt that being a new homeopath in the community, it is very lonely in terms of you don't know who you can go to for support. And I think homeopathy is one that, yes, you can read all the books there is, but the kind of experience you get actually working in the field it's a whole other level of knowledge. And I think it's important to be able to share that knowledge with each other and kind of talk about cases with other homeopaths. So I realized that, especially being new to the field, there has to be a sense of community. So this was something that Liz at Faculty was also trying to kind of accomplish. So now working as a membership coordinator, we are trying to build that community where we have homeopaths from all over the world joining. We have a website that they can go to. We do events that they can attend, and they have basically a point of contact that they can come to. And if they want, they can talk to each other about cases. Like, I think you need to be able to bring the field together from different countries as well, because like even just the experience you get in Canada versus the experience you get in India as a homeopath is completely different. And I think building that community allows us to grow the field, grow our knowledge, and also, again, spread awareness on it together.
I think that's a brilliant objective, truly speaking. You know, I think it's really, really important, and it's creating a community, isn't it? And I think that's so key. But what you've also said about the differences between India, for example, let's take that as an example. I've interviewed a few people, as you know, from India, Dr. Gaurang and Dr. Sharon, and a few others are coming up. Farooq Master's coming up, and Dr. Rajan Sankar, and hopefully very soon as well. And so nice. But it's very different. It's very different there because homeopathy is so open, of course. It's so well known by the masses that it's people are talking about homeopathy. You can talk about it on the street. You can talk about it in a cafe. You can go to one of hundreds of thousands of clinics and see a homeopath or homeopathic doctor as far as it is in India, where homeopaths actually qualify and they receive a doctorate, don't they? Because they're homeopathic doctors. And but it's very different here. There it's very, very open and easy to mingle and integrate and get information. Here it's somewhat more difficult. So things like for homeopathy and the work the faculty is doing, I think, are really, really important to bringing this community atmosphere. And I think it's a real plus point.
I definitely think so. And I love that for homeopathy is a combination of different organizations in in the field here, just because every organization has their own perspective and every organization has targeted their audience in a different way. So I love in for homeopathy that their goal is the same. So you have all these different experiences coming together to working towards a common goal.
What organizations are part of for homeopathy?
We have the Society of Homeopaths, we have Faculty of Homeopathy, there's Homeopathy UK, there's the EFPH. Sorry, it's the
You don't have to mention all of them. I know it.
Yeah, I was like, I can't see the big ones.
It wasn't a test.
There are a lot.
I was just asking some for some.
Yeah, no, there's a lot, but that's the thing. They all have their own platform. They all have their own expertise, and they all bring that towards a common goal. And that's what I love about it.
Excellent. I love that. And may it continue for many, many, many long years. Or indefinitely. I think is the right word to use here.
Yes.
Now, over and above that, you are able to practice, and this is online as well, isn't it? And I think that's great. So, do you actually get to? Because you seem to be very, very busy, but you do get time to practice.
I do. I do my so when I'm in Canada, I do take patients when I'm there because that is my vacation time. But when I am here, no, I definitely take online consultations. It's why I'm in the field. I love doing them, and I kind of work. It does help me in the sense that I'm in the UK and the time difference. So when it's convenient for patients in Canada to have a video call, I'm done my work for the day. So I make it work. It's worth it.
Brilliant. And I was going to ask you, with everything that you're doing, and obviously going back and forth to Canada as well, do you get any time for any hobbies?
Yes. So actually, some of my hobbies are traveling. So going back and forth is great for me. I love it. Okay. But no, I love traveling. I love trying new food, different places around the world. My one big thing is I do go on TikTok and find food recommendations. And then I'm like, okay, these are the ones I have to hit. So I definitely managed to find time for that in my schedule. That's
good. That's good to know. It's nice to get me time and downtime,
Yes.
It beats sitting in front of the TV, right? I found that the dynamics have changed, very much in recent years, where people are there's a genuine desire to get out and about, to mingle more, and that's a really good thing, isn't it, for mental health, for physical health, and just for the fact that human beings, we're sociable animals, right? We need to talk, we need to converse, we need to laugh, and we need to be happy and joke. And
I definitely think self-care and mental health is very important. So before, I used to be come home and on the weekend sit in front of the TV. Now, luckily from London, traveling around Europe is not that expensive. So I'll come home some weekend and be like, you know what, I'm going to go to Italy for the weekend and just go. So I definitely love having that option here.
As you said that, I was just thinking, there was a program on once many years ago, and it was called Not Around the World in 80 Days. It was something else. It was a food program and a travel program, but it's finished, so I can't actually remember the name. I think it was Rough Guide to the World. That's it. That's what it was called. And it was a real sort of hip program, and the presenters would go around the world, and just within a very short space of time, like 5 minutes, they'd tell you the best things to see, the culture, how to keep safe, and the best food joints, for foodies. And I think you should write a blog of your travels with a homeopath, travels with a Canadian homeopath.
That actually is something I really want to do, because another thing is, like, yes, I go on all these trips, I go eat all the fruit, but I always have my remedies with me. So
I
it's
go and
just
eat
like,
all their food.
yeah, go
I
eat all the
hope
food and
not.
then have my next vomit out.
Okay. No, I love the way you said that. I go and eat all their food.
Yeah.
And they
So
know,
no,
they're thinking, hang on, that was Rhea Batra, wasn't it, from Canada? We know her.
yeah, she's here to eat.
Oh, great. Now, some questions for you that I want you to share your sort of passion of remedies here. So I'm going to ask
Yeah.
you some questions. Passion of remedies and books, actually. Do you have any favorite remedies? And if so, if there's more than one, you got three.
Okay.
So what are your favorite remedies, if any?
Well, my absolute favorite for myself is gelsemium. It is my cold remedy. It is my migraine remedy. So that's one thing I will never leave the house without. Um, Absolutely love it. My other one is Nux vomica. This is more so I keep around for people around me, because we'll go out to eat, we'll go to buffets. And when you start overeating and feeling sick, and I'm just like, here you go. We're going to keep eating, but you just take this. So I love Nux vomica for that. And then I guess the last one would be arnica, just because I do get hurt a lot. I'm clumsy. I hit myself a lot. So arnica is a lifesaver.
Brilliant remedies. Good choice, actually. Really nice. Nux is a great remedy, isn't it? It's just
Oh, I love Nux.
such a brilliant polygrest, it's amazing. Now, books, favorite books, and if again, maximum of three. And they don't necessarily have to be homeopathic books here.
Okay, well, my one is a homeopathic book, and just because I use it in my practice a lot. It's the Homeopathic Remedies and Pictures, because a big part of my practice, I really enjoy working with children, and sometimes it's hard to get them talking. So you show them the book, and they're actually able to point out like how they're feeling in pictures. So I absolutely love that book. It's one I have a lot of versions of, and I never would get rid of those ones. Other books I really enjoy is there was one called Ikiagi, and it's a Japanese book on how to live your life a healthier way.
Right.
And it's very good in the sense that it tells you to put yourself first in situations, and it's listening to your body. So one of the things it teaches you is that if your body's telling you you're full, stop eating. You don't need to push yourself beyond that capacity. And it's all about listening to yourself and picking up those little hints that your body's trying to give you. So yeah, I would recommend those two books for sure.
Definitely, yeah. But as you said that, I'm sorry, but as you said the last book, listen to your body, I thought of a cream cake. And I can't get it out of my head now, and I gotta go and have it. It's a bit early for a cream cake.
I think that's what the book is trying to tell you. You have to listen to yourself.
I am. That's what it's telling me. It's telling me about my cream cake.
Yeah, you gotta eat that now.
It's saying go and have an almond slice as well, and then go around the block before you see the patients, because you'll be falling asleep with a sugar rush, Hey? But interesting, fascinating as far as the books are concerned. So what are you up to now? What's on the horizon for you, and what are you working on for the rest of the year?
So I am trying to grow the community and the platform for Faculty of Homeopathy. That's one of the main objectives this year, and as well as for homeopathy as well, like try to grow their platform, try to increase the amount of people we are exposing the platforms to, but also just to grow my practice. Obviously the back and forth does make it harder to grow it, but it is kind of building on the platforms I have, like, for example, like you mentioned, like starting a blog or just building on what I have so I can achieve that community and spread awareness, even if I'm not seeing patients. I want to do something in the field. So just keep making that impact.
It's great, and I commend you on your passion and zeal, which is so evident, because it's the vibrations as far as you're giving off are just amazing. It's really, really good.
Thank you so much.
I can see the love that you have for homeopathy, that we all share. All homeopaths share this drive, isn't it? For as far as homeopathy is concerned, it's so difficult sometimes to explain it. You have to be in it sometimes to to appreciate it, right?
100%. I think when I was just taking the remedies, I was like, cool, I'm taking something healthy. Now that I'm a homeopath, I'm just like, oh my God, the passion I have for this is a whole other level.
It's
and
brilliant,
you have to be in it.
Rhea, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the Homeopathy Health Show. And I will be asking you back soon to talk some more about homeopathy and how you're progressing as far as a practitioner. And maybe I can even ask you, because by then you'll have started your blog, right? So we can talk about that.
That sounds great. And thank you so much for this opportunity. It was lovely speaking to you about this.
Thank you so much. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
I do hope you've enjoyed this week's episode of the Homeopathy Health Show. Please do support the show by clicking follow on my socials. Remember, the more exposure the podcast receives, the better for homeopathy around the world. You can find me on Instagram by searching for @like_treatslike, and on both Facebook and TikTok by searching for @like_treatslike. So let's promote the voice of homeopathy on radio and podcast around the world together. Don't forget to visit me online at www.liketreatslike.co.uk and click on the radio and podcast tab. Here you'll be able to see all the guests that have joined me on the show so far, and of course you can stream on demand the latest episode to your mobile, tablet or PC. Until next time, stay safe and take care.